Hello, my name is Evan Dean and I'm the Digital Communications Manager at S.M.A.R.T. Thank you for joining us for Social Media Quick Start Webinar Part 3, Social Media Pages for Federations and Chapters.
Hello everyone, thank you for joining us. My name is Seth Ickes. I am the Grassroots Assistant here in the NARF Advocacy Department.
Now we'll talk about building a chapter or federation page on Facebook. From your personal account, visit facebook.com/pages/create, which you'll see below. I want to make a special note that only official representatives should create a page for an organization. For chapters and federations, this should be a designated social media chair or officer. On that page, enter your page name. For federations, you should follow the guidelines of NARF, your state, and federation. Chapters should follow the guidelines of NARF, chapter, and then your chapter number. Next, under category, you'll enter nonprofit organization. Under description, you'll include your page name with the sentence, serves NARF members in your own chapter or federation territory. Click Create Page. On the next screen, add your official logo as a profile picture and choose a cover photo. Click Save. This will cause your new page to appear on the right with a management toolbar on the left. Scroll down in the toolbar and click Edit Page Info. Under this page, you should complete the information in the General tab. For usernames, you should follow these naming conventions. Federations should use NARF, their state abbreviation, and federation, with no spaces. Chapters should use NARF, chapter, and their chapter number, also with no spaces. Next, you'll want to complete the information in the Contact tab. If applicable, add a phone number for your federation or chapter. You'll also want to create an official email address, such as narfchapter1234@gmail.com, or add an address for a page administrator who regularly monitors that inbox. Next, under the Location tab, if possible, add a city or a zip code. If not, click My Page Doesn't Have a Location. That information is included in your description. Next, you'll skip the Hours tab and move to the More tab. In the Additional Information box, include details about how to join NARF in your own chapter or federation. And then under Price Range, select Not Applicable. Now, we'll go over how to set up a Twitter. A Twitter account is the same for both an individual or a business. And the first step you'll do is go to twitter.com and click Sign Up. This will cause a pop-up box to appear where you'll enter your name, email address or mobile number, and your date of birth. Click Next. This next page will ask you to check or uncheck permission for Twitter to track your data across the internet. This allows them to offer you a more customized experience with their algorithm. Just like on Facebook, you'll be asked to confirm the contact information you entered, whether it be an email or a mobile phone number. Enter the code you receive in your email or text message, and click Next. On the next screen, you'll be allowed to choose a password. Do that, and click Next. Click on the camera icon on your new Twitter profile to upload a profile picture, and then follow the prompts to add as much or as little detail as you like, following the same recommendations that we had for Facebook. Twitter has a special step that you'll need to take to make your profile look more credible. On the menu bar on the left, you'll look toward the bottom for More. Click on that, and then you'll click Account Information and enter your password again if required. Next, you'll click Username, and this will allow you to create your unique Twitter handle or the name that you will use on Twitter. Click Save.
Thanks, Evan, for that great information. So, now that you have created a Facebook and Twitter account for your NARF Federation or chapter, let's talk about how you can most effectively use each social media platform to communicate and engage with your followers and the online community. Each social media platform has its own unique community and expectations for content. Your posting frequency and the type of content you post will all depend on what platform you're using and the audience you're trying to reach. Despite lots of overlap in users between social media platforms, those same users may not act the same way on every platform, so it's important to adjust your posts accordingly. Now, let's take a look at some best practices for posting on Facebook and Twitter. To foster increased engagement on Facebook, be sure to prioritize positive content that adds value to the conversation. You should also map out your posts in advance using a content calendar to ensure consistent posting and engagement on a day-to-day and week-to-week basis. Be sure to schedule your posts ahead of time. This gives you time to correct any mistakes and review them a second time before you publish them. Be sure to always engage with your followers, reply to comments, answer questions, and help make sure those who reach out feel heard by your federation or chapter. Visual content is especially important on Facebook. Make sure to attach a photo, graphic, a video, or other image to your post when you can. This helps draw the attention of your audience and encourages them to read or interact with your posts. On Twitter, you want to make sure you are active and tweeting on the platform on a daily basis, a few times a day. Be sure to follow as many stakeholders and industry leaders and groups as possible, like NARF headquarters, other associations, other federations and chapters, and media that covers the federal community. Just like Facebook, you always want to be engaging with your followers. Reply to their tweets, retweet them when relevant, and like their replies. Visual content is also extremely important on Twitter. When you can, be sure to include a relevant image or video with your tweets. As I mentioned before, this helps draw the eye to your posts and increases the chances that someone will comment, like, or share. Be sure to use hashtags when you can. If you're trying to get a topic trending or participating in an already trending topic, use hashtags. However, be sure to use hashtags strategically in your tweets, not just randomly. Now, let's take a look at some general tips for increasing your engagement on social media platforms. To get started, you should designate some social media volunteers who could be members of your federation or chapter, family, or friends to seed engagement on your posts. These volunteers would be tasked with sharing, retweeting, commenting on, liking, and forwarding your posts to others in an effort to boost engagement and make sure more people see your posts. You also want to make sure the content you create and share is valuable and relevant to your audience. For example, followers of a NARF federation or chapter would care more about a new bill in Congress affecting the federal community than celebrity gossip. Although you should always stick to content relevant to NARF, you can also show your human side by adding a personal touch to your posts. Finally, always be sure to respond to questions and comments quickly. This helps your posts show up more in people's feeds and bring your followers back to your posts and accounts more often. Next, I want to briefly remind you of how important proper etiquette is on social media. It's always important to maintain a level head and follow proper etiquette when you use social media platforms. So, remember to be yourself. It's best to be authentic and genuine. Remember to post regularly and interact positively with others online. Always think before you post. If you wouldn't say it to someone in person, don't say it online. And be sure to follow the golden rule. Treat others how you wish to be treated. On the other hand, you want to avoid being overly promotional. You don't want to post too much. Don't tag your friends in photos or videos without their permission. Don't overuse hashtags. And always be sure to review your posts for spelling and grammatical errors before you hit publish. Now I'm going to hand things over to my colleague Evan Dean, who will talk to you about setting expectations and goals for your Federation and Chapter's social media pages.
Thanks, Seth. Setting expectations for what you hope your social media campaigns will achieve is key to having a successful platform. Here are just a few things to consider as you're setting those expectations. Remember that social media is only one piece of your overall communication strategy. It's a powerful tool, but it can't reach everyone. And while everyone, I'm sure, has seen a viral meme, a photo, or a video on social media, these posts are very uncommon. So don't expect all of your posts to go viral. Next, you'll want to remember that social media is not a toy. While it can be a place to have fun, we're here to do some serious business. And the SMART goal framework is a great way to go about setting your expectations for your social media campaigns. Now we'll talk a little bit about the SMART goal framework for social media. When setting goals for your social media campaigns, it's important to remember that each should be specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and timely. As an example, let's say that you want to increase the number of followers you have on any social media platform. To make that goal specific, you should choose a number, such as 15 new followers. This goal is measurable, as your follower count is a defined metric. Next, you want to consider whether or not your goal is attainable. If you have 10 followers, getting 15 more might be a little bit of a stretch. But if you have 10,000, 15 might be too low of a goal. And while it's important to stretch to reach your goals, setting your expectations too high can drain motivation. Next, we'll talk about how this goal is relevant. Increasing the number of followers you have helps NARF and your federation or chapter by increasing the number of people who are seeing the information that we post, as well as spreading awareness about NARF's legislative priorities. And lastly, you want to make sure that the goals are timely. Set a deadline for reaching your goal. So instead of just saying you want 15 new followers, say that you want 15 new followers this week. And now I'll talk briefly about the social media toolkit for federations and chapters. The social media toolkit is a great tool for chapters and federations to get started in social media. This helpful document contains how-tos similar to the ones that have been in part 1 in this presentation, an in-depth explanation of the best practices presented here in this presentation, a list of helpful outside resources to help build your strategy, and lastly, I want to note that this is a living document. Social media is changing constantly, and we have to keep up. Check back every once in a while to make sure you have the most updated version. Now that you've got your new federation or chapter page set up, make sure to follow NARF headquarters accounts on Twitter, Facebook, and LinkedIn. Thank you for joining us for part 3 in the Social Media Quick Start webinar series. We hope that this series has been informative and will help your federation or chapter grow its social media presence in the future.